Hello, good morning and welcome. It is a beautiful morning out there, and this is Trans TV's Daybreak, reaching you from the nation's capital. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Good morning, Nigerians. Ekaro Otutoma. My name is Stella Iyaji. Thank you for joining us this morning.
All right. Well, that is the unity in Nigeria. The word now, Stella, I think seems to be picking up a little bit. There's cash.
Yes.
It's flowing right now.
Not flowing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
available.
It's available. Yeah,
Beginning
and
to flow.
It's better. It's better than it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
a lot
better than it was exactly a few days ago. And the fuel queues have reduced.
Well, I don't know about that because some petrol stations are still not selling.
Yes, but the few I actually saw between yesterday and today, I think the queues were not that they were not that long.
Yeah,
as
but I also found that you have to drive past certain petrol stations, maybe one or two, before you get to a third one that has the product.
Exactly.
For me, I'm just wondering, when would it come to an end? Why can't we just have this product
that's the problem. I think this has
that we produce. It's just that we don't refine.
It has lingered for so long, and when we're busy discovering new oil, making new oil discoveries as well. We don't even know what to do with one we have now.
No, we're not able to serve our people with the one that we have. It's still a product that is scarce here, and yet we keep discovering. So I don't know.
Well, it's difficult to actually find a balance to that. Well, we hope we find a solution to it soon.
I hope so. But this has lasted too long.
It has over a year. It has gone on for too long. I think this is the longest we've actually had this
under this administration. Because to be fair, when they came in, we had petrol for a long time. There was no scarcity and everything like that.
Even during the end of the year, when it was usual that we usually had it. I mean, like it went during this, but now it's
from January last year. This thing started, and we thought it was something that would just come and go, but then it has refused to go.
It has proven to be very, very difficult.
Yes, and then what's the worst is the excuses that you get. Ramadan,
I think
Salah, Easter, anything.
I think they're even tired of the excuses now. They're even tired of the excuses now, I think. And they just decided to keep quiet and hope that it blows away by itself. Well, we hope things get better.
I hope
as soon as possible. All right, so let's take a look at the headlines this morning. So PDP replaces IU as PCC, says suspension is illegal.
NLC TUC shelf plan strike, gives CBN 2 weeks to make Naira notes available.
And OPEC appoints former Daily Trust correspondent as PR coordinator.
Now let's take a look at the details. The People's Democratic Party has appointed its Deputy National Chairman North, Omar Damagum, as its acting national chairman. Mr. Damagum takes over from Yosha Ayu, who was barred by a Benue court on Monday from parading himself as the party's national chairman. This is contained in a statement by the PDP spokesperson, Debo Ologunagba, on Tuesday in Abuja. According to the statement, after a careful consideration of the court order and in line with Section 45, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the PDP as amended, the NWC resolved that the Deputy National Chairman, His Excellency Ambassador Umar Ilia Damagum, assumes the national chairmanship of the party in an acting capacity with effect from Tuesday, March 28, 2023. He replaces Yosha Ayu, who was suspended by his ward in Benue State for anti-party activities. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party's Presidential Campaign Council has described the suspension of the party's national chairman as illegal and not in conformity with the party's constitution. The spokesperson of the council, Mr. Charles Aniagu, who spoke on AIT on Tuesday, said those that suspended the national chairman in Benue State were ignorant of the provisions of the party's constitution as amended in 2017.
All right, and the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has appointed Dr. Umar Jibril Gwandu, a former Daily Trust correspondent, as the public relations coordinator of the organization. According to the report, the appointment was meritoriously secured as it was preceded by a written examination, paper presentation, and extensive interview on issues relating to public relations in the oil and gas sector. The final stage of the process was keenly contested by the three topmost applicants from Nigeria, Kuwait, and Algeria at the headquarters of OPEC in Vienna, Austria, where Gwandu scaled and got the prestigious appointment. Dr. Gwandu is a media and communication expert with over a decade of professional experience in university lecturing, journalism practice, and media management.
The Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have suspended their planned strike earlier slated for today over the unavailability of Naira notes. The two labor centers said they would monitor the availability of cash in commercial banks for 2 weeks before deciding on the next line of action. Presidents of NLC Joe Ajero and TUC Festus Osifo said this during a joint press conference on Tuesday in Abuja at the end of their National Executive Council meeting. This report by Kendi Amodu explains more.
The cash crunch situation. The Labour Minister is optimistic that the swift positive response by the CBN to the demands of the union is a strong show of goodwill. This, he believes, has bought the Apex Bank enough time to fix the dysfunction in the sector.
The Nigerian Labour Congress wrote us to say that the cashless policy is affecting Nigerians very badly, and that among these Nigerians is affecting that their members are affected. When they did that, we had to forward the letter to the CBN governor and told him in our own letter that he should act promptly because they gave a deadline. The deadline expired last Friday, and we acted before that Friday. And we asked the CBN to also act before that Friday.
The Labour Minister is also throwing the book at the NLC, pointing out that with his intervention, it is expected that the dispute has been arrested.
But as much as it is, the important thing that we have emphasized to them that we have apprehended this dispute. And by Section 7(8) of Trade Disputes Act, once the minister apprehends and starts conciliation on it, you maintain status quo ante bellum.
However, it is unclear how much the unions have sheathed their swords, as they have given the CBN 2 more weeks to put things right and end the cash scarcity being experienced in the country. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
And moving on to other news reports. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has flagged off oil drilling at Ebenyi A well at Obi local government area of Nasarawa State. Now, Abubakar Abdullahi reports that studies leading to the discovery of oil deposits in the area have been carried out for more than a decade. His report.
Performing the ceremony that marks the beginning of oil exploration in Nasarawa State, President Muhammadu Buhari said his administration is focused on oil and gas exploration in the nation's frontier basins, including the Chad Basin. The flag-off of Ebenyi oil well is first of its kind in the Benue Throw and second to Kolmani oil well that was commissioned last year in the northeast. President Buhari, who speaks virtually, said the newfound oil deposit will create job opportunities and prosperity for the people.
Today's occasion marks the official commencement of exploration drilling activities in the Benue Throw. This is consistent with the commercial discoveries of hydrocarbons in the Kolmani area of Upper Benue Throw. I am pleased to note that activities are currently ongoing to develop the Kolmani petroleum discoveries.
Flagging off the Ebenyi A well on behalf of the President, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule appreciated the federal government and Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited for discovery and speeding the process of oil drilling in the area.
Let me make this special appeal to you, Mr. President, and of course the NNPC. With the strong competition, as was strongly indicated, that the fossil oil is getting right now from green energy, I would like to appeal, Mr. President, that the NNPC should expedite the development of this field, while congratulating the NNPC once more on the concept of the integrated field development that was just carried out in Gombe.
NNPC Group Managing Director Mele Kyari expressed optimism that the possible outcome will contribute greatly to the country's gross domestic product.
Today, we have mobilized drilling into site here in Obi local government of Nasarawa State. We are optimistic that the positive outcome of this campaign will contribute to national aspiration of increasing our carbon reserves from 7 billion barrels to 50 billion barrels in the short to medium term and increase our crude oil production to the target of 3 million barrels per day. On behalf of our people and the people of this land, we are known for our hospitality. We are known for people that had never shown any kind of militants or things that are out of the ordinary.
The discovery of oil in parts of Nasarawa State has raised hopes and expectations of the people that the discovery will bring lots of benefits to them.
All right, over now to Katsina State. 6 days into the month of Ramadan, prices of foodstuff have remained stable in the state, unlike previous years where prices of essential commodity go up when Muslims are fasting. Abdullah Yamadi speaks to some yam, fish and meat sellers in Katsina State on the level of patronage this month. Let's take the report.
In the past, prices of essential commodities during Ramadan fast record sharp increase, but the situation is not the same this year as prices remain relatively down. Prices of yam, sweet and Irish potatoes, however, differ depending on the size and quality.
The price before this time is 2,400 or 2,200, but now it's 1,800 per crate. Before, we sell 10 crate, 20 up to 30 crate per day, but now only 10, 5 per day.
The price of the fish, there is one for saying jack mackerel, which some us of Katsina saying sardine, selling it as 28,000 before Ramadan, but the time of Ramadan selling it as 27,000. The kilo of it is 1,400 now. Before Ramadan is 1,450. Then there is some ones which are saying Titus, in Katsina saying Sukumbia. They are selling it in 34,000 before Ramadan, but now selling it at 3,000. There is deduct 300 in each kilo of this type of Titus.
This Katsina resident said he has to shelve all that is not necessary for him to go for what is necessary, like maize, millet, guinea corn, just to put body and soul together, even as prices remain stable. According to him, what explains the stability is the question of demand and supply, noting that the stability of the prices of essential commodities is recorded because people have little or nothing to buy goods.
I really appreciate with the price is cheaper than before. Before Ramadan, the price is very high. The situation we are on Ramadan period, so they reduce the price. I really appreciate.
Most of these traders and other sellers say they are experiencing low patronage because majority of their customers are salary earners who have not been paid this month's salary in Katsina. Residents try to look for the easiest alternative at this trying moment of harsh economic realities. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And as the race to occupy the coveted position in the 10th National Assembly heats up, Chief Whip of the Senate and Senator representing Abia North in the National Assembly, Orji Uzo Kalu, says the Southeast deserves the Senate presidency. Now, the former governor of Abia State told newsmen at the State House Abuja on Tuesday that if the president of the Senate in the 10th Assembly is zoned to the Southeast, he is the best candidate that can bring about needed unity and peace across the country. Let's take a look.
Senator Orji Uzo Kalu is one of the few ranking senators left in the ruling party from the Southeast after the Labour Party's tsunami during the February 25th elections. But he is not discouraged that the Southeast region contributed the smallest amount of votes to the victory of the APC in the presidential and National Assembly polls. Neither does he subscribe to the argument that the poor showing of the APC in the region during the elections should determine what positions should go to it.
Peace and peaceful of this country is more important than number of votes we have brought. I want people to realize that we need to concentrate our energy in manufacturing things out of Aba and Navy and all the rest of them.
Senator Carlos' conversation with the president focused on key issues and realities in the red chambers, particularly on the determination of the Ninth Senate to enshrine a lasting legacy of people-oriented legislations. What is important to the Senate Chief Whip is equity, fairness, and justice, which he believes zoning the Senate presidency to the southeast will accomplish.
I think that I will be a solution to what they're looking for. I will be a team Nigeria. I will play Nigeria first, Nigeria second, and Nigeria last.
While Senator Uzo Kalu is grateful to the federal government for the huge impact it had made on the entire infrastructural landscape of the Southeast in the last 8 years, he believes the Southeast Senate presidency would be an icing on the cake. And his bargaining chip is peace and unity. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
All right, still on election-related matters. Mixed reactions have continued to trade the announcement of April 15th as the new date for the conduct of supplementary governorship election in 77 polling units of Adamawa State. Both APC and PDP leaders and their supporters are optimistic of getting a clear winner this time around, as against the inconclusive election that was earlier announced by INEC on 20th March. Salis Lawa tells us more.
INEC has assured Adamawa residents and Nigerians at large that it will conduct credible supplementary governorship election in Adamawa State that will be the pride of Nigerians and of the international community on 15 April. Both APC and PDP leadership candidates and their supporters have been urged to see the exercise as an election, not a war. They were also cautioned to avoid inflammable statements that are capable of inciting violence amongst the populace.
Let me urge our loyal party supporters to be law-abiding, to be peaceful. Adamawa State is peaceful. We are law-abiding, and we will continue to be law-abiding. And we don't want to witness any chaos.
We should be very peaceful and orderly. We should be mindful that Adamawa belongs to all of us. Anybody who emerges in this election should be Adamawa State Governor, not APC State Governor, not PDP Governor or SDP Governor, but Adamawa State Governor. So we should embrace that.
While reiterating their commitment of coming out in their numbers to elect leaders of their choice, some Yola residents expressed hope that the supplementary election will be conducted peacefully.
We'll all wait until 15 April to know who will be the governor of Adamawa State. It's either Adamawa will be the first state to enter the Guinness Book of Record, or we will continue the mandate of Governor Amadou Fintri. But what I know is that after 15 April, as INEC announced, we will know who will be our governor.
Either INEC is going to refix till December. We are here to vote who we want. INEC will not force us to vote who they like, but we people will vote who we want. That's all what I'm. And my expectation is that the good Lord will favor the work of all the people. Security and justice will enter their mind, be it Muslim or Christian, to favor well.
Although governorship and legislative elections have been concluded in most parts of Nigeria, the elections were declared inconclusive in Adamawa due to the fact that the council vote at the election were more than the margin of victory between PDP and APC. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
And still talking about elections, voters in Kaduna have been reminded to be law-abiding and conduct themselves in an orderly manner in the forthcoming rerun election in some parts of the state. Now, the Vice Chairman, Kaduna Peace Commission, Dr. Saleh Momale, said this at a press briefing in Kaduna ahead of the rerun elections.
The rerun will take place in certain polling units in the state. In order to have a violence-free rerun election, Kaduna State Peace Commission appealed to voters in the affected polling units in different parts of the state to shun anything capable of creating chaos during the rerun election.
We note that there are few House of Assembly constituencies to be concluded, urging citizens to ensure that the by-elections are also conducted peacefully.
According to the Commission, the rerun could only be successful if the stakeholders involved abide by the rules and regulations of the election, where the Commission urged all the political parties to shun inciting statements.
We are strongly appealing to political parties, the electoral bodies, the media, and other stakeholders to refrain from incitements, provocation, and exploiting existing ethno-religious divides in political discourse and campaigns.
The Commission also urged voters, political parties, and other stakeholders to take the results of the rerun election in good faith. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Thank you, Bello Musa, for that report. With that, we'll go for a very short break. When we return, we'll look at what the newspapers are saying today. Please stay.
and where you find that look at this.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's Daybreak. Right now it's time for us to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers to find out what's going on in the country. We'll start with Daily Trust newspaper, and this major story on the front page: Abuja-Kaduna train, 1 year after attack, full services yet to resume. And we have riders here that says how security operatives averted another attack. Train lacks central lock, poses new security risks, according to sources, and deploy more technology, and that is coming from the victims. Details of that story can be found on page 4. Moving towards the bottom of the front page there, an alarming figure here: Lassa fever kills 142 persons in 23 states in 11 weeks. Now, details of that can be found on page 7. The very bottom of the front page: woman gives birth in bandits' den, baby killed, mom freed. That is on page 24. NLC issues 2-week fresh ultimatum over cash scarcity is another story on the front page of the Daily Trust. And subsidy removal, Buhari's government hands off palliative implementation. Now we move on towards the top of the front page below the masthead: PDP crisis, how NWC sacked IU despite resistance. Details of that can be found on page 12. NNPC to raise crude reserve to 50 billion barrels, explores Nasarawa oil field. These are the major stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Now let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. It has a lead story that says subsidy removal plan raises anxiety as Labour breaks rank. The first rider: Labour not aware of palliative talks on subsidy. And then we have another rider: Pengasin OK subsidy removal, NLC resists deadline. Don't impoverish masses, ASCSN charges new government. Palliative committee yet to harmonize positions 1 year after. We also have another rider here. This is coming from Ingigi. Incoming administration to propose pay rise bear palliative burden. And just beneath the masthead, we have Labour suspend strike, CBN picketing to monitor cash flow for 2 weeks. Dogwa's case file no longer with the police. And then we have Tinubu Council's 71st birthday colloquium for national prayers. And we have a pictorial here that has a caption saying, closing bell to commemorate Geregu's listing on the exchange. And beneath that, PDP obeys court order, replaces IU with Damagum. 1 year after, Kanu government releases personal belongings to train attack victims. These are the major stories on the Guardian newspaper for today.
All right, next we'll take a look at the Punch newspaper. The major story reads, suspension, IU heads for court as PDP appoints acting chair. And we have riders here that says IU wants court to overturn suspension, Damagun to run party pending judgment. PDP recorded worst electoral outing under IU embattled chair, weak, gone for good. That is according to the G5. FG $22 billion loan request rejected. That is by the reps. And Zenith Bank grows gross earnings. At the very bottom of the front page there, Ramadan, Yobe reduces working hours for civil servants. And rampaging Ogun kidnappers kill 2, abduct couple. 1 dies, 7 injured as fire guts Lagos market. That is on page 4. And moving towards the top of the front page, at the very top, court cases won't stop handover to Tinubu Shetima. That is according to the federal government. And stop fuel subsidy, revive refineries, Pengasin tells government. And finally, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Labour shelves strike, gives CBN fresh 2-week ultimatum. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
Now, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. It has a lead story here that's coming from the president. It says, Tinubu well placed to perform as president. And then we have a rider that says, president leads torrents of encomiums for president-elect at 71. We also have prayers to hold in Lagos. And just beneath the masthead, we have Labour shelves plan strike over Naira scarcity for 2 weeks. NLC TUC to monitor situation. Then we also have another rider here from Ngige who says how we brokered truce. And above the masthead, we have Pengasing canvasses petrol subsidy removal. We also have police appoint DIG, promote 24 to AIG. IU steps aside as PDP national chairman. NWC appoints Damagum to act. Wike says he is gone. And then we have, beneath the masthead also, President-elect's nominees Bagudu Edun joint transition council. These are the major stories on the Nation newspaper for today.
All right, we'll take a look at the Blueprint newspaper, and it goes with the PDP crisis as well. Wike Namani on PDP crisis. Ayu's tenure, unmitigated disaster. We are vindicated. And it has riders header says NWC jostles for redemption, names Damagun as replacement. Sack illegal, insists party's PCC spokesman, and Ihedioha withdraws from Imo PDP governorship primary. Details of that story can be found on page 5. Next, we'll take a look at Buhari flags off Nasarawa oil drilling Ebenyi A well, and PSC appoints Egbetokun DIG, promotes CP Frank Mba, 23 others to AIG. NLC TUC shelf planned picketing of CBN, give 2 more weeks grace. And Lagos Market Inferno, NEMA confirms 1 dead, 7 injured, 4 arrested. Tinubu nominates Bagudu Wale Edu into Transition Council. And Kaduna Abuja train attack 1 year after. Kaduna State government accounts for victims' items. Now moving towards the top of the front page there and talking politics, still 10th Senate. APC will be fair in zoning arrangement, that is according to Musa. And it has riders here that says NWC member urges Northwest senators to step down for South-South. Giving the slot to Southeast will promote peace, Kalu tells Buhari. Now these are the major stories on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
Now let's take a look at Nature News. It has a lead story that says ecosystem regulation. Senate passes motion to establish 10 new national parks. We also have Buhari predicts greater prosperity, flags of oil exploration in Nasarawa. Beneath that, the MASA and NCC collaborate to regulate submarine cable operators. We also have get ready for 750 naira per liter petrol, stakeholders tell Nigerians. Still on the Nature News, we have COP28 host UAE tried to weaken global shipping's climate ambition. Niger Delta communities to sue ExxonMobil Shell for pollution. And just beneath the masthead, we have NIMET alerts Nigerians of possible rise in heat level. These are the major stories on Nature News for today.
All right, and now with that, we conclude reading out the headlines on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. And it's time for us to dive deeper into some analysis of those particular stories. And to help us do that in the studio, we have former Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, Ben Shemang, who's retired but not tired. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Surely the energy is there.
Yes, it is evident. It is evident.
Yes.
All right. So let's dive straight into it. Let's look at the major story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper is talking about 1 year after the attack and the train attack, that is, and full services are still yet to resume on the particular train service. Now, this was something that was hailed as revolutionary when it came to the transport sector in Nigeria, and that serious security breach actually put paid to that. Is there any possibility that we might see these the service resume to where it was before the incident of last year?
When the attack took place, almost within 2 weeks, it appeared at that time as if services would be restored, but people said that would be too insensitive to the families of victims and conscience of nation that was thrown into mourning, So if that was the collective decision of Nigerians, the Nigerian government therefore felt they should keep it in abeyance. But the victims have all been set free now. We thought that even the spoiled track that has been kind of repaired I think the train should start rolling. But again, there are, if you check the riders to this story, they said the trains do not have central lock system of the gates. That is very, very critical. Now, if individuals are busy buying bulletproof cars, I think that our trains should also have these bulletproof facilities. If a situation where a train stops in a station and some people are likely to storm that place and begin to open the doors because they lack a kind of a lock or locking system, I think it is a thing that the security network, the engineering aspect, right from the Chinese companies making it. Look, because of the peculiarities of our areas of operation, these trains ought to have this. Again, a whole year if this service is not on, it's like we are saying, the terrorists have cowed us in submission. You know, when you see a dog barking, I mean, it goes with full energy. But by the time it coils its tail under its legs, it is total submission. You've defeated it. Boko Haram, ISWAP, look, terrorists cannot tell the Nigerian government by their own actions to hinder the trains from rolling. Nigerians need that. And we need to show them that the Nigerian security system remains the aggressors.
Mr.
They
Sherman.
take the wars, just a moment, to these people. Because if they say we're going to destroy this and you just cow down, you back down, of course they feel they're on top of you. So you have to be on top by being the aggressor. Take the war. Everywhere they're hiding, bomb them, strike them. That's just the truth. The president has said it as commander-in-chief. They don't need a trial. Somebody finish them. That's the truth.
Mr. Ben Sherman, apart from, you said that the the terrorists cannot determine for Nigerians what to do. That is very true. However, the first rider says how security operatives averted another attack, which means that, in fact, the story says there was another attack there was a planned attack in January, and that security operatives were able to gun down about 20 bandits. That because they didn't carry, the attack was not successful. That's why a lot of people did not know about it. Now, if Nigerians know that this is happening, naturally, don't you think that some persons would just want to avoid the service? Yeah, you see, it's also the duty of the security operatives to do what they are doing, as they've reported now. There were many others that have been kind of nipped in the bud. So if they continuously do all of these things, it gives the Nigerian the confidence that they can always travel by rail, they can always go by road. So we expect them to do more. And that is what we are saying. They have to be on top of the situation. When you say you are controlling the commanding height of these security operations, you are just in charge. Any attempt to challenge you, like Apache would say, any attempt to challenge our will be met with maximum force. That's exactly what security operatives are supposed to be doing. There's no room for negotiation. Military, they are not diplomats. You look, and the moment you involve them, you already know the civilian aspect is out of it. So if there are some people doing some negotiations outside that, that's not the job of the military. Theirs is, you've called us in, and therefore we have to make this place safe. And every commander in his own area of operation or responsibility will ensure that, every pin that is dropped, he must hear the sound, and he must know the direction, who dropped it and for what purpose, and of course he takes the appropriate measure or measurements to ensure that his area of operation is peaceful.
All right. Well, we're still talking about security and or lack of it thereof. Prior to the elections and during the period of the election, we had this lull in all of these some of these incidents. Well, it led to some speculations that probably the incidents were occurring, but they were being underreported because everybody was talking about politics at that particular time. But now politics is over, and we're starting to get reports of all this right now, because Daily Trust just reports that a woman has given birth in the bandits' den. The child was killed, but the mum was later released, and of course some abductions here and there as well. Are we making any headway when it comes to this thing? Because it seems like it was a thing of the past. It seems like it was abating at one point, but now it seems to have reared its ugly head back again.
Ibrahim, you see, let's be honest. We've said it on this platform, this same studio. See, when this cashless policy was brought on board, you see that cases of kidnapping just went down very well, because nobody had money to pay anything. If you therefore kidnap anybody, how do you even feed them? How do they even get money for any? Now there is a kind of a relaxation of that, so some little monies are entering, and therefore the thing appears to be coming up gradually. But again, how do we begin to ensure that there are tracking of some of these things? Because when we had NICOMSAT, I remember when it was launched, they will show you names of villages. They will show you areas. They say, this is so-so-so local government, so-so-so ward in a so-so-so state. Now, if they are able to do all of this, why is it that they cannot use some of these things to do the tracking? And when you have phone numbers being used, everybody is told, go, give us your biometrics, your fingerprint, your face, everything, photographs taken. Why is it that we still cannot overcome many of these things? Is it that the technology given to us by the makers are different from what we have? Or there are people who indeed will want to engage in dereliction of duty, negligence, deliberate, willful, okay, I won't do my job. I turn my face to the right when criminality is going on to the left. And so the whole of this, when bandits would just look at man's inhumanity to fellow man. You kidnapped a woman, she's there, pregnant, labor, she was all under your supervision. Whether she died or not, all you wanted is money. Money to do what? You know? Now, having given birth, what will you do? You killed the baby. You know the judgment waiting if you actually believe in life hereafter. The kind of hell, I think God should have the hell to go hottest for some degree of criminality. Because if somebody out of hunger stole a tuber of yam, now somebody will go kill human beings, flog them very well, inflict pains, cut them, put some pepper, and you film them and send to their loved ones because you want money.
Mr. Sherman.
I mean, that is real inhumanity to fellow human beings.
Mr. Sherman, when you listen to this kind of things and you hear or you read these stories, you wonder whether we can ever defeat this. And I saw a story about 2 days ago where a former UK Prime Minister said that Nigeria can actually defeat terrorism and banditry. Do you think we are ever going to get there?
We'll get there, provided we get our political space very well. See, Stella, can we talk of serious employment? Now, let me give you a small scenario. Those days, when crisis was up so much, remember the Sharia crisis in Kaduna State, and the governor then just decided, look, where are these youths being used? Christians, Muslims. Look, can you form some farming community or society of 20, 25? And they just took them to some areas, gave them farming. They were busy farming, and government was buying their produce. And by that, you see, you engage them. What is hard in doing all of this? If it will sound digressive, we still insist. Why don't you give these local governments their money? They'll employ so many people. If you employ them, some are into poultry, some are farming, agriculture, just name it. And some are farming ginger, some are vegetable. They all are engaged. All year round farming. So when will somebody go and recruit them and say, come, go kill, I'll give you 10,000. And the man tells you, look, a bag of ginger, 50 kilos, is giving 100,000. So why am I talking about you are giving me 10,000 for what? Please let me enjoy my life. And I tell you, if we engage them, check some of these Boko Haram stories. They will say they are not being reckoned with. They have no jobs. Therefore, the leaders have deceived them. And what is this deceit? Very soon, they'll all be sworn in using the Quran, the Bible, and said they will do justice to all manner of people. What manner of people when indeed you perceive that this area didn't vote for you, and therefore, like the Nigerian musician would say, nothing for Labaja. So you won't give them anything because they don't belong. But I tell you, if you want them, you want to woo them, look, take a project to them. I know you didn't vote for me, but I am telling you this is a project for you. And that is how you woo them. You neutralize them this way. But you cannot force for force. Okay, you didn't vote for me, you will never see road, no bridge, no fertilizer, nothing. Okay, they are killing you. Abi, you couldn't kill yourselves there. It's not the best way to go.
We're talking about measures to actually forestall kidnappings and banditry and the rest of it. You actually made mention of the cashless policy, and that was one of what we were sold mostly on, that with the cashless policy things will reduce and we'll not have incidents like this again. But it has been met with a lot of pushback. That is the cashless policy now, and we're hearing that, well, at one point the NLC gave an ultimatum that they were going on strike, and then they shifted it. Now they're giving 2 weeks again so that cash will flow. So do you think that goes directly in contrast to what you are talking about, that the cashless policy could be helped to ease banditry?
You see, the policy cashless, I take it or leave it, it's really, really good. It's the implementation that is the issue. If you knew you were going to do this and you tied it, you attach it to the elections so that the real owners of money will not determine the voting pattern, okay, good thing. But you see, the masses are suffering so much, and that's why Labour, you can imagine, okay, Comrade Ajaero, you've just been elected, and the next thing is as if the mission statement of Nigerian labor force is always, let's go on strike. Apiti Ngige, since he was appointed 8 years, all he does is sit down over strike, all over strike. I'm wondering whether he actually sleeps at all. So, but again, Labour therefore assert some kind of pressure, some power to government to ensure that, yes, the worker does not suffer, and not just the worker, people who work in the streets, they should be having some kind of palliative, so to speak. But it shouldn't reach an extent where there is the flexing of muscles, where, of course, at the point you don't even have balance of terror, I'll call it this way. Labour will feel, okay, we're going to make it ungovernable. The government will feel we are in charge. And again, where's the meeting point? It's at the street. It shouldn't just be. If things can be resolved around the table and it is done, so be it. Look at Kenya today. Raila Odinga, you're busy leading. See how, he has reached a certain level. He's contesting. He contested against somebody you call his son. Now he's been defeated. Today you say cost of living is high, and you roll people into the streets. Now see churches, mosques are being born. They are not related at all. So in the same vein, we should be careful when we have this kind of a situation in Nigeria where the political barometer is still very, very hot. It's boiling. I think that we should find a way of calming down situations, and that's why they say, okay, we are moving it again by 2 weeks. Within those 2 weeks, what are the things that have not been done? What are the things that have been done that are wrongly done? Where are the implementable aspects that should be done? Or who indeed are the ones failing the system, so that all of this could be ironed out before any other 2 weeks can come.
Sherman. Moving on to another issue here on the front page of the Daily Trust. Subsidy removal. Buhari's government hands off palliative implementation. Now, there was a committee that was set up to come up with the palliative 1 year ago. Up to now, they are not able to. But then a lot of people are asking, why is the Buhari government even talking about subsidy removal at this point? It has barely 2 months to go, and in any case, subsidy was budgeted for in the 2023 budget till June of this year. So why are they talking about it at this point?
They're talking about it today because, you see, APC has won. And if you look at it, before APC could win, 2015, they were saying subsidy was a scam that had to be discarded.
Yeah, Mr. Sherman, that's what a lot of people are saying. You had 8 years to go, you didn't remove the subsidy, and now you have 2 months, you know.
El-Rufai, governor outgoing, actually said that APC failed Nigerians, but that the last 8 years. But that the incoming regime, they're going to ensure that it is removed. But again, we should be looking at what they call agenda setting. If you've been having subsidy all this while, and suddenly, okay, as you're going, are you handing over that subsidy regime to the incoming government, or you stop it now and hand over? Whichever way you're doing it, surely it's like you've set up an agenda for the incoming regime. How is it going to manage it? And that is why sometimes some of the utterances of even those around the president-elect, I think they are setting up an agenda for him that could be very, very hot in terms of managing Nigerians, in terms of profiling some to make them sound as if they don't belong to the country. So when you have the new president who will come on board only to meet some of these things, that will be very, very diversionary from giving us good governance.
It's actually obvious that the new administration has a lot on its plate already before it actually comes in. Ben Sherman, thank you very much for coming on the show today, and of course we appreciate all the perspectives that you've given to these stories today.
Always a great pleasure.
All right, well, it's still Trust TV's Daybreak. We'll take a short break, and when we return at top of the hour, the show continues. Just stay with us.
That's good.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Well, it's top of the hour, 8 a.m. It's still Trust TV's Daybreak right here on Trust TV. If you're just joining us, that is, well, the train has left the station. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Thank you once again for tuning in to Trust TV this morning. My name is Stella Yaji, and like Ibrahim said, we're already 1 hour into the show.
All right, well, still rolling on right now. Let's take a look at the headlines on the hour. PDP replaces IU as PCC says suspension is illegal.
NLC TUC shelf plan strike gives CBN 2 weeks to make Naira notes available.
And OPEC appoints former Daily Trust correspondent as PR coordinator.
Now let's take a look at the details. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries has appointed Dr. Umar Jibril Gwandu, a former Daily Trust correspondent, as the public relations coordinator of the organization. According to the report, the appointment was meritoriously secured as it was preceded by a written examination, paper presentation, and extensive interview on issues relating to public relations in the oil and gas sector. The final stage of the process was keenly contested by the 3 topmost applicants from Nigeria, Kuwait, and Algeria at the headquarters of OPEC in Vienna, Austria, where Gwandu scaled and got the prestigious appointment. Dr. Gwandu is a media and communication expert with over a decade of professional experience in university lecturing, journalism practice, and media management.
And talking about labor matters now, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have suspended their planned strike earlier slated for today over the unavailability of Naira notes. The 2 labor centers said they will monitor the availability of cash in commercial banks for 2 weeks before deciding on the next line of action. Presidents of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, and TUC, Festus Osifo, said this during a joint press conference on Tuesday in Abuja at the end of their National Executive Council meetings. Now, this report by Kende Amadou explains more.
The cash crunch situation. The Labour Minister is optimistic that the swift positive response by the CBN to the demands of the union is a strong show of goodwill. This, he believes, has bought the Apex Bank enough time to fix the dysfunction in the sector.
The Nigerian Labour Congress wrote us to say that the cashless policy is affecting Nigerians very badly, and that among these Nigerians is affecting that their members are affected. When they did that, we had to forward the letter to the CBN governor and told him in our own letter that he should act promptly because they gave a deadline. The deadline expired last Friday, and we acted before that Friday. And we asked the CBN to also act before that Friday.
The Labour Minister is also throwing the book at the NLC, pointing out that with his intervention, it is expected that the dispute has been arrested.
But as much as it is, the important thing that we have emphasized to them that we have apprehended this dispute. And by Section 7(8) of Trade Disputes Act, once the minister apprehends and starts conciliation on it, you maintain status quo ante bellum.
However, it is unclear how much the unions have sheathed their swords as they have given the CBN 2 more weeks to put things right and end the cash scarcity being experienced in the country. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
Moving on. The People's Democratic Party has appointed its Deputy National Chairman, Umar Damagun, as its acting National Chairman. Mr. Damagun takes over from Yosha Ayu, who was barred by a Benue court on Monday from parading himself as the party's National Chairman. This was contained in a statement by the PDP spokesperson, Debo Ologunaba, on Tuesday in Abuja. According to the statement, after careful consideration of the court order and in line with Section 45, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the PDP as amended in 2017, the NWC resolved that the Deputy National Chairman, Ambassador Umar Ilia Damagun, assumes the national chairmanship of the party in an acting capacity with effect from Tuesday, March 28, 2023. He replaces Yosha Ayu, who was suspended by his word in Benue State for anti-party activities. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council has described the suspension of the party's national chairman, Dr. Yosha Ayu, as illegal and not in conformity with the party's constitution. Spokesman of the council who spoke on Tuesday, Charles Aniago, said that those that suspended the national chairman in Benue State were ignorant of the provisions of the party's constitution as amended in 2017.
All right, now let's move on to some news reports. President Muhammadu Buhari has flagged off oil drilling at the Ebenyi A well in Obi local government area of Nasarawa State. Abubakar Abdullahi reports that studies leading to the discovery of the oil deposits in the area have been carried out for more than a decade. His report.
Performing the ceremony that marks the beginning of oil exploration in Nasarawa State, President Muhammadu Buhari said his administration is focused on oil and gas exploration in the nation's frontier basins, including the Chad Basin. The flag-off of Ebenyi oil well is first of its kind in the Benue Throw, and second to Kolmani oil well that was commissioned last year in the northeast. President Buhari, who speaks virtually, said the newfound oil deposit will create job opportunities and prosperity for the people.
Today's occasion marks the official commencement of exploration drilling activities in the Middle Benue Trough. This is consistent with the commercial discoveries of hydrocarbons in the Kolmani area of Upper Benue Trough. I am pleased to note that activities are currently ongoing to develop the Kolmani petroleum discoveries.
Flagging off the Ebenyi A well on behalf of the President, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule appreciated the federal government and Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited for discovery and speeding the process of oil drilling in the area.
Let me make a special appeal to you, Mr. President, and of course the NNPC. With the strong competition, as was strongly indicated, that the fossil oil is getting right now from green energy, I would like to appeal, Mr. President, that the NNPC should expedite the development of this field, while congratulating the NNPC once more on the concept of the integrated field development that was just carried out in Gombe.
NNPC Group Managing Director Mele Kyari expressed optimism that the possible outcome will contribute greatly to the country's gross domestic product.
Today, we have mobilized drilling into site here in Obi local government of Nasarawa State. We are optimistic that the positive outcome of this campaign will contribute to national aspiration of increasing our carbon reserves from 7 billion barrels to 50 billion barrels in the short to medium term and increase our crude oil production to the target of 3 million barrels per day. On behalf of our people and the people of this land, we are known for our hospitality. We are known for people that have never shown any kind of militants or things that are out of the ordinary.
The discovery of oil in parts of Nasarawa State has raised hopes and expectations of the people that the discovery will bring lots of benefits to them.
All right, over now to other issues. As the race to occupy the coveted position in the 10th National Assembly heats up, Chief Whip of the Senate and Senator representing Abia North in the National Assembly, Orji Uzokalo, says the Southeast deserves the Senate presidency. And the former governor of Abia State told newsmen at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday that if the president of the Senate in the 10th Assembly is on to the Southeast, he is the best candidate that can bring about needed unity and peace across the country. Let's take the report.
Senator Orji Uzor is one of the few ranking senators left in the ruling party from the southeast after the Labour Party's tsunami during the February 25th elections. But he is not discouraged that the southeast region contributed the smallest amount of votes to the victory of the APC in the presidential and National Assembly polls. Neither does he subscribe to the argument that the poor showing of the APC in the region during the elections should determine what positions should go to it.
Peace and peaceful of this country is more important than number of votes we have brought. I want people to realize that we need to concentrate our energy in manufacturing things out of Aba and Newi and all the rest of them.
Senator Carlos' conversation with the president focused on key issues and realities in the red chambers, particularly on the determination of the Ninth Senate to enshrine a lasting legacy of people-oriented legislations. What is important to the Senate Chief Whip is equity, fairness, and justice, which he believes zoning the Senate presidency to the southeast will accomplish.
I think that I will be a solution to what they're looking for. I will be a team Nigeria. I will play Nigeria first, Nigeria second, and Nigeria last.
While Senator Uzor is grateful to the federal government for the huge impact it had made on the entire infrastructural landscape of the Southeast in the last 8 years, he believes the Southeast Senate presidency would be an icing on the cake. And his bargaining chip is peace and unity. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
And 6 days into the month of Ramadan, prices of foodstuff in Katsina remain stable, unlike previously when prices of essential commodities go up when Muslims begin fasting. Abdullahi Ahmadi speaks to some yam, fish and meat sellers in Katsina State on the level of patronage this month.
In the past, prices of essential commodities during Ramadan fast record sharp increase, but the situation is not the same this year as prices remain relatively down. Prices of yam, sweet and Irish potatoes, however, differ depending on the size and quality.
The price before this time is 2,400 or 2,200, but now it's 1,800 per crate. Before, we sell 10 crate, 20 up to 30 crate per day, but now only 10, 5 per day.
The price of the fish, there is one for saying jack mackerel, which some us of Katsina saying sardine, selling it as 28,000 before Ramadan, but the time of Ramadan selling it as 27,000. The kilo of it is 1,400 now. Before Ramadan is 1,450. Then there is some ones which are saying Titus, in Katsina saying Sukumbia. They are selling it in 34,000 before Ramadan, but now selling it at 3,000. There is deduct 300 in each kilo of this type of Titus.
This Katsina resident said he has to shelve all that is not necessary for him to go for what is necessary, like maize, millet, guinea corn, just to put body and soul together, even as prices remain stable. According to him, what explains the stability is the question of demand and supply, noting that the stability of the prices of essential commodities is recorded because people have little or nothing to buy goods.
I really appreciate with the price is cheaper than before. Before Ramadan, the price is very high. The situation we are on Ramadan period, so they reduce the price. I really appreciate.
Most of these traders and other sellers say they are experiencing low patronage because majority of their customers are salary earners who have not been paid this month's salary in Katsina. Residents try to look for the easiest alternative at this trying moment of harsh economic realities. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Thank you, Abdullahi Yamadi, for that report. Now, voters in Kaduna have been reminded to be law-abiding and conduct themselves in an orderly manner in the forthcoming rerun election in some parts of the state. The Vice Chairman, Kaduna Peace Commission, Dr. Salim Momale, said this at a press briefing in Kaduna ahead of the rerun election. Let's take the report.
The rerun will take place in certain polling units in the state. In order to have a violence-free rerun election, Kaduna State Peace Commission appealed to voters in the affected polling units in different parts of the state to shun anything capable of creating chaos during the rerun election.
We note that there are few House of Assembly constituencies to be concluded, urging citizens to ensure that the by-elections are also conducted peacefully.
According to the Commission, the rerun could only be successful if the stakeholders involved abide by the rules and regulations of the election, where the Commission urged all the political parties to shun inciting statements.
We are strongly appealing to political parties, the electoral bodies, the media, and other stakeholders to refrain from incitements, provocation, and exploiting existing ethno-religious divides in political discourse and campaigns.
The Commission also urged voters, political parties, and other stakeholders to take the results of the rerun election in good faith. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
All right, mixed reactions have continued to trade the announcement of April 15 as the new date for the conduct of supplementary governorship election in 77 polling units of Adamawa State. Both APC and PDP leaders and their supporters are optimistic of getting a clear winner this time around, as against the inconclusive election that was earlier announced by INEC on 20th March. Salis Lawa tells us more.
INEC has assured Adamawa residents and Nigerians at large that it will conduct credible supplementary governorship election in Adamawa State that will be the pride of Nigerians and of the international community on 15 April. Both APC and PDP leadership candidates and their supporters have been urged to see the exercise as an election, not a war. They were also cautioned to avoid inflammable statements that are capable of inciting violence amongst the populace.
Let me urge our loyal party supporters to be law-abiding, to be peaceful. Adamawa State is peaceful. We are law-abiding, and we will continue to be law-abiding. And we don't want to witness any chaos.
We should be very peaceful and orderly. We should be mindful that Adamawa belongs to all of us. Anybody who emerges in this election should be Adamawa State Governor, not APC State Governor, not PDP Governor or SDP Governor, but Adamawa State Governor. So we should embrace that.
While reiterating their commitment of coming out in their numbers to elect leaders of their choice, some Yola residents expressed hope that the supplementary election will be conducted peacefully.
We'll all wait until 15 April to know who will be the governor of Adamawa State. Is either Adamawa will be the first state to enter the Guinness Book of Record, or we will continue the mandate of Governor Amadou Fintri. But what I know is that after 15 April, as INEC announced, we will know who will be our governor.
Either INEC is going to refix or refix. Till December, we are here to vote who we want. INEC will not force us to vote who they like, but we people will vote who we want. That's all what I'm. And my expectation is that the good Lord will favor the work of all the people. Security agencies will enter their mind, being it Muslim or Christian, to favor well.
Although governorship and legislative elections have been concluded in most parts of Nigeria, the elections were declared inconclusive in Adamawa due to the fact that the council vote at the election were more than the margin of victory between PDP and APC. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News. Yola.
Thank you, Salis Lawa, for that report. With that, we'll now go for a very short break. When we return, we go into our first discussion for the day. Please stay.
All right, thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's Daybreak this morning. Right now, it's time for us to take a look at our first conversation of the day, and it has to do about the Constitution. Now, Section 134 of the 1999 Constitution has been giving different interpretations, so to speak. Some of the view that so far as a candidate has not less than 1/4 of the votes cast at the election in each of at least 2/3 of all the states, he does not necessarily need to get 1/4 of the votes cast in the FCT. While others are of the view that getting 1/4, that is 25% of the votes cast in FCT, is mandatory in addition to getting 25% in 2/3 of the states around the Federation. Now, we're trying to get more perspectives on this, and we have joining us in the studio a senior advocate of Nigeria in person of Mr. Sam Kago, and welcome very much to Daybreak.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so this section has been and has come to the fore since the presidential elections took place. Some people saying you need 25% in Abuja no matter what you score elsewhere for you to be declared president. Some are saying Abuja is just like any other state when it comes to getting 25% as well. What is the interpretation of this section? I mean, what does it actually say?
The best I can do is to give my own opinion.
Exactly, your own opinion.
Yeah, because it's for the court to do the interpretation. But this is my thoughts. Let's start from the beginning. Nigeria is described in or defined in Section 2 of the Constitution, which is one indivisible country, and it is constituted by 36 states and the federal capital. That is what Nigeria is. So if you are referring to Nigeria at all times, it has to be the 36 states and the federal capital, because that's the language of the Constitution. So as lawyers, you are limited to speak the language of the law. If the Constitution on its own has stated this, it is always very convenient for you to use the same language. And the Constitution also goes further to say, in terms of the presidential election, you only have one constituency, the whole of the federation, that is the whole of the 36 states
and the federal
capital are one constituency. And the law and the principles that I know, that I studied, is that the Constitution does not talk in parables. The Constitution is not like any other law that can afford to be ambivalent. The Constitution is always saying what it says. And what it does not say, you can input. And that is why I think it's one of the most easiest literature you can read, because it is drafted for anybody to understand, because at the end of the day, ignorance of its provision, they say, is no excuse. And also, like I said, if the Constitution wants anything, it says it. If the Constitution wants to say you must have a quarter of the vote cast in 36 of the Federation, and wants to separate it from the federal capital, it will do it in a very clear language. And not to say you infer from it and you start getting ideas, innovations.
Well, Mr. Kagbo,
yes.
some lawyers who are putting forth this argument, because I have found that even amongst lawyers, there's a division on this particular issue. Some say you don't have to get in 24 states, including the FCT. Some say you must get the FCT. Now, their argument is on that and. They are insisting that the Constitution says in 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. So
that language, that language, I have stated that is how the Constitution defines Nigeria. 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital. So whenever you want to refer to Nigeria, that's the language you have to use, because the Constitution has already defined Nigeria like that. And let me get back to the point I'm saying. If the Constitution really wants to give that interpretation that Abuja is a special state, it cannot be that casual about it. It would say it in categorical language. It cannot allow you to make imputation or inferences for you to arrive at that. It will state so, because the implication is it's very, what would I call, alarming for a constitution to be that casual. You just leave it for you to make an inference. No, it will state it. It would give it specific provision to say this is what it is. Take a look at the pains it takes in stating how you win an election as a president, whether as one candidate, whether as two candidates, or whether as two or more candidates. It stated it repeatedly. You may say, this is verbose. But yes, because he does not want you to have to make inferences. It's not like a biblical book that somebody will read and start making extrapolation. That is not the Constitution. The Constitution does not allow you to make inferences, extrapolations, or whatever it is. Because what? It is the foundation of the legal system, it is the foundation of the law, it is the foundation of every principles, all the principles of law that we know. That is the basic. So it has to say what it means and what it wants. You cannot.
Some might argue that if the Constitution was that simple,
yes,
it was that simple to understand, then why all this back and forth when it comes to not only this issue that we're talking about, but other issues as well when it comes to constitutional interpretation? Why is it so difficult to interpret?
Well, you see, this is how I always think, and this is how I always express myself. Nobody teaches me substantive justice. Nobody teaches me to make conclusions. What I am taught are principles of reasoning as a lawyer. But most times, our colleagues, they tend to jettison their role and their profession as lawyers for which they are trained. They become activists, they become moralists, they become analysts, and all of these, you don't have a forte because, hey, if we want to talk about being analytical or being polemical or whatever, the activists are better at it. If you bring an activist here to talk about this, he would be smarter in making his extrapolations, in making his own suggestions, because they are good in rhetorics. They're good in polemics, in logic. That is their forte. A lawyer can't go that route because you are dealing with live issues. You are not dealing with theoretical or suppositions or suggestibilities. You are dealing with live issues. And the law teaches you how to reason. And like I am saying, the law says the Constitution would always mean what it means. Whatever it says, that is what it means. So you don't go to say, because of this, this is what this is saying. No, there is no because. In the interpretation of the Constitution, you cannot say you do by analogy, because this one says this and therefore this. That you cannot do with the Constitution.
So what the statement you just made right now, is it an indictment on the capacity of some practitioners of the legal profession?
That would be me going out of line. You understand? All I am saying, there is always that temptation. There is always that temptation for we to tell people what they want to hear.
Exactly.
There is always that temptation for us to be. In any case, we are human beings. We all have our six senses that are made up of what our emotions. You know, we are not always that objective or whatever. There is always some aspect of emotions.
You know,
but to me, like I am saying, my training is that I should be speaking sounds emotions. That is, no matter what emotions I have or feelings or likeness that I have, I cannot be speaking like a lawyer and commingle that with my training or what my training tells me to do.
You know, what you said, that's what I always thought of the law. I felt that in law, or anything that had to do with the Constitution, A should be A, B should be B,
that is it.
not subject to. So it was a bit surprising when this particular issue was being argued in different ways by same lawyers.
It's a storm and a teacup. I would always say, like Shakespeare would say, all fury and no substance, with due respect. If the Constitution wants that, if that is what it means, it's going to tell you that in plain language and not leave it for you to say because there is an and somewhere. Of course, there has to be an and, because you have to refer to Nigeria. And how do you refer to Nigeria? Once you've mentioned the 36th state of the Federation, you have to mention the federal capital, because when you go to section 2, that is how Nigeria is defined.
All right, Mr. Cabo, for the sake of our viewers, I'd like you to take us through, from the moment a president-elect is announced by INEC, I'd like you to take us through from that process to swearing in, what happens. Because, and I ask this question because even till date, 2 days ago, I saw a story saying there's a plot for an interim government, and I was a bit taken aback considering that there is a president-elect, and then, you know, we've seen pockets of protest here and there. So I'll just, for the sake of our viewers, take us through the process, you know.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I'm happy. First of all, let me say this. We have a president-elect, but for the moment, you can't have two captains. There is a president whose tenure would end on the 29th of May, so he's in charge, fully in charge. There cannot be two of them. That one would come in when, just like employment, if somebody's tenure is to end on this date, that person, the incumbent, enjoy the full powers of the office until the date expires and the other person is now we have a declared president. Let the heavens fall. The only reason why he will not be sworn in is death. But for now, the incumbent president has no choice in it. The opposition has no choice in it. No other person has any other choice other than waiting for him to be sworn in. No court of law can stop that. That would be infernal, and the consequence would be too dear to imagine. So we have that in place, and the only interface that the president-elect or the president-elect and the president can have is to have a kind of a discussion on the transition, because you have to leave a statement and literature on the state of affairs of the nation, so that the incoming president will not go into office blindly, not knowing the state of affairs of president. So for now, they have to work together to know what is where, so that when you are handing over, you are handing over a document and a literature on the state of affairs that the incoming would have an idea about. So no matter what it is, that's why you saw, no matter how somebody was complaining about the Trump and Biden, that transition and all of that, but this is the way it goes. The law is indifferent to any other calls. The call today is that the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be sworn in on the 29th, if he's still alive. And of course, I pray he's still alive, because if not, you have to go back into the rigors of having an election.
All right. Well, we do hope all these will be resolved and lots of clarity will be provided. Most of these cases are actually in court, so determination will actually.
They will. The cases will be going on. Exactly. And of course, I think that's for the president.
180 days, 150.
Yeah, the totality of it will be about 8 months because you have 180 days, then 30, then it will be done.
All right. So we'll help to get more perspectives once that is concluded. Thank you very much, Sam Kagbo, for coming on the show, and of course for offering those perspectives on these issues that seem to be lingering.
Funny issues.
Exactly. No, it's not funny. It's not funny.
It has been turned into something else as it is. So thank you very much for giving us those perspectives.
Thank you for
All right. Well, still Trust TV's Daybreak. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, the conversation continues with another aspect of something else. Do stay with us.
Welcome back, and you're still on to Daybreak on Trust Television. Now let's go into our second discussion for the day. The People's Democratic Party has appointed its Deputy National Chairman North, Umar Damagum, as its acting National Chairman. Mr. Damagum takes over from Yosha Ayu, who was barred by a Benue court on Monday from parading himself as the party's National Chairman. Let's discuss the unending crisis in PDP, and to give perspective to this, we have in the studio a PDP chieftain and former chairman of FEMA, Engineer Olajide Adeniji. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
All right. The last time you were here,
yes,
I remember you insisting very vehemently that there was no crisis in the PDP.
I didn't say there was no crisis.
Is that still the position you're holding?
I didn't say there was no crisis. I said we are managing the crisis.
You said it was the media that was saying that there was a crisis in your party.
Yes, I did say that. I did say that.
Is that your position today?
And that is why I'm a human being. I'm not God. It's God that is all-knowing. But as at that particular time, we were working on it to get the problem resolved. And we tried our best, but our best may not be good enough.
So can we now say that there is a crisis in the PDP?
Well, I will not say there is no crisis, and I will not say there are crises.
Okay.
There is no family that there are no crises. PDP is a family. And the crises that are happening now, there are things that can still be resolved. Are you resigning and an acting national chairman being appointed? It's a normal thing. I mean, the greatest honor anybody can do is for you not to use your personal ego to destroy an institution. Dr. Ayu saw that if I would be the problem of the party, why can't I throw in the towel?
Mr. Adeniji,
and that he has done.
Mr. Adeniji, a lot of people are saying that is coming a bit late in the day, considering that this was a request that was made by, for instance, the G5 before the election. So a lot of people are saying that, I mean, this request lingered on, and it's, you know, a lot of people will agree that it affected the outcome of, or the performance of the PDP in the election.
No, not at all. People just talk anyhow. The performance of the PDP in the last election was very, very great. But very sorry for Nigeria. A lot of riggings here and there.
But it lost in all the states where the G5 members are from.
Like where?
Apart from Enugu, of course.
We won in Enugu.
In the presidential?
Yes, we won in Enugu.
Yeah, but you lost Rivers in the presidential, lost Benue in the presidential, lost
but the Benue also lost his the senatorial ambition. So the loss is a two-edged sword, and the sword destroyed all the people that are involved. The Enugu man is the one I pity so much, because at least we made some impact. He also lost his senatorial. The Abia man lost fatally, not even second, he came fourth or so. So when you want to destroy an institution, you will indirectly destroy yourself. That is it.
All right, so let's just get back to the question posed earlier. I mean, a lot of people are actually saying, okay, if Ayu had wanted to throw himself on the sword for PDP, why didn't he do it before the election? Why is it coming too late in the day now?
Well, Ayu is a Democrat. If he wanted to go, and majority say don't go, he has no choice. The NEC passed vote of confidence on him. He will now not say because he wants to be a good man, then he should go against the National Executive Council, which is the second highest organ of the PDP, apart from the National Convention. So he's a law-abiding person. And this time around, nobody insisted that you cannot go.
But this
so he has to throw in the towel.
Before throwing in the towel, would you the recent suspension of some members of the party, like former governors Shema Ayofayoshe and former Senate President Ayim Payosai, does it have anything to do with it? Though?
Well, I'm not a member of National Working Committee. They have reasons why those decisions were taken. If most of all the people that were suspended, they are our friends. But there must be serious reason for them to take such a decision. So, and that I have not I've not struggled to know why they did that, but we just saw that it was done.
And you keep saying that he threw in the towel. I don't remember that early in the day, he actually said that the ward was not in a position to suspend him.
No, I believe so.
He actually said
according
that.
to our constitution, it's only the neck that can sack a national chairman.
So
but when the court comes in now, and IU is a law-abiding citizen, even if it comes from magistrate court, he will still abide by it.
Well, according to a report, we gathered that sources had to prevail on him to leave.
Well, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware at all.
Because the thing is, what a lot of people are actually saying is if he wanted to go, he would have gone without the controversy of the suspension, without the court ordering anything or saying anything.
But the next says you don't go. They say they have confidence in you, don't go. And as a law-abiding citizen,
because right now it appears
member of the PDP, he will not go.
Right now it appears that he's going kicking and screaming because it doesn't seem like it's voluntary.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's voluntary.
Yeah, but the matter is still in court.
It's still in court. So we allow the court to take his normal steps.
Which means that he still, he will still want to be reinstated. That's what that will mean?
Well, he may want to be reinstated. He may not be reinstated, or he may be reinstated. Wanting to be reinstated doesn't mean that you'll be there again. But the IU I know will never struggle to come back again. This is a man who presided over his own impeachment as any president. Yeah, we don't want you to say I will preside over. What do you want? We don't want you. IU is gone. He's gone. He's a serious-minded person. He is not a person that wants to jeopardize an institution because of his own personal ego. No.
Yeah, but he actually said he's going to court.
Well, he may go to court to challenge his own people, saying that they have lost confidence in him. And his own people accusing him that he worked for APC. Losing your own polling unit and your ward does not mean you work for the opposition. It doesn't mean at all. The national chairman of APC lost his own polling unit, lost his own ward, and he was not working for PDP. When people reject you in your own locality, it doesn't mean that you are not accepted in the generality of Nigeria. In 1999, Obasanjo lost woefully in the whole Southwest. But the entire Nigeria said that is the best man for Nigeria. And they won.
All right. To what extent would this help in reconciliation process within the PDP? We saw yesterday Damagun saying that, in fact, there's going to be a meeting of the NWC today. Yeah. And Damagun said that that issue will be discussed.
Well, the Damagun I know is a Democrat. He loved the party so much. And he will do his best to make sure that this problem is resolved.
In the run-up to the election, there was lots of back and forth, especially
in the what?
In PDP.
Okay.
Yeah, there was lots of back and forth, especially with the rhetoric flying from the G5 and the PDP leadership and all that. And one of the main bones of contention for the G5 at that time was IU to step down as PDP chairman.
On what basis? What reason?
They have given their reasons. So
which are baseless.
So the thing
because we have presidents before.
So the thing is, IU is not there now. Will you say now that, or can they claim a certain level of vindication?
Well, I will give you the phone numbers of the G5 so that you can ask them directly. Because even while you resigning, that may not be the end of what they are agitating for. They may want Damagun also to resign. They may want another person to resign. They may want, it's endless.
Well, we have seen a statement by the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who says that shortly after the court ruling, he said that this was just the beginning. And then yesterday when IU left, he said, I said he would go. Do you think that this is enough to bring the G5 members back fully into the fold?
Well, the PDP would do everything possible to bring the G5 back to the fold. And just like I told you the other time when I came, all of them love PDP. But something somewhere came. And they begin to do exactly what they were doing. I believe that with IU living now, they have no reason not to come back fully to the PDP so that we can build the PDP afresh.
But there were a lot of people after this election that said that it appears as if the PDP has lost steam. Do you see the PDP as coming back as a formidable force?
The PDP is still a formidable force.
Well, I do know
this
you
is the
still
only
have some
party
states,
that is People's Party.
I know
it's
you
not
still
owned
have
by
some
anybody.
States, but, you know, is it still going to be, will it come back?
We are coming out stronger than ever before. I can assure you that one. We are coming out stronger than ever before. The G5 is not that they are enemy of PDP. They will come back. I mean, their request is that Ayu should go. Ayu has gone now. So which other request would they want us to?
Well, they made this request for a very long time, and
because it's not it's not proper at that time for us to dip ourselves into another crisis when we have election.
So now are they concrete steps?
Because what they were asking for that time, it was not something that anybody can just give. They said they wanted the Southerner to be the chairman of the party, and we had a precedent before. When our highly esteemed former president of Nigeria, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, was president, a substantive president on seat, Ogbolafo was our national chairman. Heaven did not fall. Now the thing rotated to west, to the north. Then Southerners are making noise. It's not correct.
Yes, the analogy you gave of under Goodluck Jonathan, people didn't kick against it. There were some persons that said that, well, if some members of the party, governors of the party are against it, shouldn't this party have taken a decision just to save
I told you that time, People's Democratic Party is our name. We are party controlled by the people. We are not Governors Democratic Party. The governors are members of the party. They are our agents to serve in the state, as chief executive officer of the state. If it is when parties are being run the way it ought to be run, a party can summon the governor at any time and say, what you are doing there, that is not the policy of our party. And it can be sanctioned. But today, because of money, I sponsor party. It is so embarrassing for a governor to be saying that I am the one taking care of the party. Where do you get the money to take care of the party? Is it your father's money? Is it your business money that you are using? It is by the virtue of the fact that the party gave you the privilege to be a governor that you have access to money to do whatever you want to do. As a matter of fact, People's Democratic Party, by the special grace of God today, does not need to depend on any governor. Everybody pay his or her own dues.
That's also one of the allegations against Ayu. His ward member said that he wasn't paying dues. That was one of the reasons.
Well, I have not read that one.
Yeah, it's out there in the
if he has not paid dues, well, that is an error from him. No matter where you are, you have to pay dues in your own ward. Because you cannot be a member of the party without being a member of your ward first.
All right. So, there's also this argument that if Ayu had taken the stand, or to say that, okay, fine, I'll fall on my sword for PDP before this election, that the performance or lack thereof of the PDP would have been better in the general elections.
No matter what happens, performance cannot be better anywhere when we have a bias umpire. We have seen a state in the north where, when the coalition was completed, the governorship candidate cried, wept bitterly. They said, don't cry again. After 2 hours, they say he won the election.
Mr. Adeniji,
those are the kind of nonsense that is happening in this country.
Rivers State has always been a PDP stronghold, but in the presidential, Rivers State went to the APC.
He went to the APC through Kokri.
The APC won.
When you were seen on video where they are intimidating young coppers to go and rewrite election, to go and rewrite the results.
Mr. Adeniji, the APC won Rivers State as against the past.
APC,
and a lot of people said,
let me tell you, APC did not win Rivers State. Those people that are riggers helped APC to put figures there. You were seeing it in the social media where coppers, people's children were intimidated to change figures. Nigeria cannot grow like this. And I want to assure you that those people that are perpetrating evil in this country, heaven will visit them.
If Wike the governor of Rivers State was not fighting with the PDP, as it were, would that have happened?
It can never have happened. And he also has gone too far.
So we're going back
we don't need to scatter the house that built us.
So we're going back to the initial issue that the fact that the G5 governors were not together with the PDP.
It affected us. It does. It did. It affected us. But it wouldn't have gone to that level at all. And most of the G5, they also injured themselves. Most of them lost the election. The only one that survived was Makinde. And of course, Governor Wike has nothing to lose. He's not contesting any election. So people that have something to lose and they are following him, that is also their problem.
All right, so finally, before we go now on the final note, with the rift being as deep as it is right now, with these wounds being as open as they are right now, what are there any concrete possibilities of having
I want to tell you, we have confidence in the new acting national chairman, Damagun. He's a grassroots man. He's a PDP man to the core. And he has what we call native wisdom. God will give him the grace to gather us together and be stronger than ever before.
And you think all members of the party are also open to this reconciliation?
Of course, yes. Everybody is eager to reconcile. Everybody.
All right. Well, interesting words coming in. We hope to have you back again so that we can discuss these issues and, of course, get more perspectives from the inner sanctum of what's going on in the PDP.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Aladije Adeniji.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
My sister. Thank you very much.
This is how we're going to wrap it up today on Trust TV's Daybreak. It's been absolutely fantastic being here, and of course, it's been an amazing show. So why don't we do that again tomorrow? I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming us into your homes this morning. Join us same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Stella Iyaji, and do have a very pleasant day.